Hey, this is Tim with TM Media, and this is a continuation of the graphic design career questions. We'll call this part two. Based on part one, I had a couple questions that I probably should answer straight off, and then I'll add. This will probably pretty much encompass part two, and then we'll go from there. Okay, a gentleman named Ryan that has followed us for a while. He asked, with many companies making the jump to web design for news, instead of printed newsletters, do you think graphic design will also need to be graphic designers also need to be web designers and multimedia designers too? Or do you think, or do you feel that graphic design isn't going anywhere? Well, I think with anything we need to adapt a little bit. I don't think print's going anywhere anytime soon. I think people still will communicate, 20 years down the road, who knows, but I don't think you're going to need to know the intricacies of web design, because things are going to change, and it's like I actually went to coding. I remember I used to be a coder. I used to do HTML, and that was like hardcore web design back then. Now there's no way to keep up with everything. That's one thing you got to realize, is you can't do everything. If you want to be a web designer, be a web designer. You'll probably have a better graphical end to it, as far as being able to design things. But once you get into coding, that's going to go away too. You're going to lose your touch on design. So I'm not saying that's not going to be a benefit. It's just, unless you want to lock yourself in a closet $100 a week, you're not going to be the best graphic designer and web designer. There's very few that are. There are some out there, but it's just, I don't know how they do it. So I would, as far as design, I would, like, for instance, our firm, we have web designers. I have web developers, and they take care of web designers, and people hire us to do web design because we can make some fairly visually appealing websites compared to your standard run-of-the-mill web design company, which a lot of times they're great technically, but the visuals are usually there. So, I'm losing my point here. What the heck was I getting to? All right, brain fart. So the point is, you can't do both. And what we usually do as well, we'll build websites, but if they're very complicated websites, I mean, we have partners that can handle that, but ourselves in-house, we're not going to be able to do that. I couldn't code it, and my developer, he's a developer, and I'm sure he can get into some intricate stuff, but we're just not here to do major, 3,000 page websites or 300-page websites. What we'll do is we'll collaborate with a client that has in-house developers that have like a staff or a team of like 3 people that all they do is maintain their website. We'll go in and we will rebrand their website. We'll do some just improve their visuals, because they might not have a designer in there that is capable to do what we can do, and especially our thought process, all that stuff about branding. So with other digital platforms, mobile, all this other stuff, I mean, there's definitely going to be a market for designers in web. That doesn't necessarily mean you need to know web and design. It's kind of like, I get a lot of questions from illustrators that, do I do graphic design or do I do illustration? Because some of them are right in the middle, and they're kind of okay with both of them, but they're not great. So what I tell them is pick one or the other. Either be a great illustrator or be a great graphic designer. Don't try to stay in the middle. You know, it's great if you have a background on the road, it might help out, but I wouldn't go to I wouldn't be the all-around Joe that's going to be great, try to be great at everything, because what you're going to wind up doing is you're going to be kind of like a handyman. You just got to know certain things and this and that. So, you know, but depending on your position, some firms will look for that. If you have I don't know, I have a client that I have a couple clients in water treatment. That kind of industry, you know, some of their secretaries know some web design. Some of their secretaries, or they just learn it, and they're happy with that. That's because they don't need much. They just need some basic stuff. So, but if you're talking about a professional designer, it's totally different. So, anyways, I hope that answers that question. Okay, other questions are, what are good jobs to have while you're in school for graphic design and arts? And how are graphic designers supposed to get a job right out of school when all the jobs require experience? Well, let me start with the first question. What's a good job to have while? I would say, anything that helps you socialize more, because that's going to build up your networking skills. You know, that people are thinking, I'm going to say, oh, work at an art gallery or something like that. Well, maybe, I don't know, that might work because you are interacting with people, but most people will expect me to say something artsy. But you got the artsy stuff covered. What you now need to do is learn how to network and sell. And that brings me to the next point, where the next question is, how do I get a job in graphic design? Well, this goes for many jobs. I mean, I was a network tech for one time, and went to school for that. I couldn't get a job to save my life. I mean, I had the certifications, all that stuff. No one would hire me. I wasn't really interested in doing it. But the same thing happened to me in design. Is I couldn't get a job because they wanted job experience, and I just know how it goes. And that's unfortunately. I don't think all companies will say that. A lot of companies will say, and I'll probably do a separate video on this because I'm sure that's a huge concern, but a lot of companies will sit there and they'll put on their qualifications, you need to know InDesign through Premiere and all the Adobe products, and they expect it, on their posting on monsters.com or something like that. It sounds like you need to know it like the back of your hand. There's no way they're going to get some of the qualifications I've seen on these forums and monster.com. There's no way they're going to get someone that's like that, unless they want to pay them some serious, like, I just don't know anybody that fits the perfect model. You'll have probably about 50% of what they're looking for, maybe less. I've seen jobs where they got everything from, you need to have a degree in design, you need to know all this stuff, you need to know web design, plus you have to have a great written and oral and communication skills. I mean, you can't have everything. I mean, I stink at writing, so, and I've come to the realization I'm never going to be a great writer. So you have to go with your strengths. And that brings me back to the question on how to get into the job market